Friday Night Marketing! We're gonna rock! We're gonna roll! Get real and bold! Come on, join the show now! It's about to unfold! Get raw, get real, get results now! We're the latest steel, making waves loud! On this stage, we ignite! Every Friday night, brand new fight! Get real, get results now. We're the latest steel, making waves loud. On this stage, we ignite. Every Friday night, brand new fight. In the spotlight, feel the fever. Every pitch and quest. Dreams are big, get bigger tonight. Push the limits, reach new heights. So grab your seat, don't blink an eye. 'Cause Friday night we'll touch the sky. Welcome! It's time for Friday Night Marketing Raw!
It's in the cupboard. It's Friday Night Marketing Raw.
Wow.
Hello, Kurt. How are you?
What is going on?
What a week. What a week.
It has been a week, hasn't it? Like 7 whole days.
It's been a week. It's definitely been 7 days, and it feels like it. Hello to the 3 people watching over on the YouTubes. But one of
I know 2 of them.
Tom Clark.
Tully's the other one.
Hello, Ellie. Good to see you. Don't forget the link. You put the link in. There's the link. It's there. It's in. Whatever. Anyway, wow. Yes, what a week. It's good to be here. Good to be alive. At least I think I'm alive.
That's true.
I think you're alive too.
I have got so much done this week, but I mean, it's like
and then after more
product
stuff
creation monster this week is what I've been. It's like produced so much content and written posts, and I've just been content producing all week. So,
I mean, that's good. I haven't done a thing this week. I started off very competently going, right, I'm going to make a product this week. I'm going to put everything that I've been thinking about together. And then I got to about Tuesday and I hadn't done anything because something had cropped up and another thing had happened, and so I just gave up and thought, sod it, it's Easter this weekend. I'll take the week off. So I've been doing that instead. It's just nothing. I got to watch Daredevil, which was fun. But that was it. So it's I'm struggling to get back into the swing of things, but
I did take a chunk of hours out to watch the new Black Mirror,
right,
on Netflix, and some of the episodes of that I have watched more than once because I think they're very good.
I need to start watching that from the beginning because I haven't seen it at all.
Have you not?
And I know that I should. And for years I've gone, I must watch that. And I never got round to it. So yeah definitely. That is something.
Do start from the beginning because there's a point in one of the they do an episode that has a lot of little callbacks. You don't need to know them for it to make sense. But it's one of those things. It's in their universe, and the more it goes on, the latest season they play with their universe a lot more.
Right.
So yeah, really good. There's been interesting. I've watched lots of the chatter about it. I thought all of the episodes were excellent. I didn't like the third one that much, which is the one that's sort of set in a black and white film type thing, but that just wasn't for me. But other people are raving about it. But to me, the one all about parallel universes and things, second one's very good.
Right.
But then some people hate that, so it's horses for courses, isn't it?
Oh god.
I think the MCU ruined the multi-universe for everyone.
Well, I feel the same way about Doctor Who and time travel because for me, even when I was born, there was like 25 years worth of stories about time travel that I started watching. And now, if anybody else does it, they all seem to be kind of pale imitations of what they'd already done on Doctor Who at some point. So, someone goes, oh, multiverse story. Well, actually, I've been watching multiverse stories for quite a while, and what the MCU did wasn't all that great. And it was fine, but it wasn't that special. So yeah, it's yeah. But
yeah, really enjoyed it. I'm watching some of them again. Charlie Brooker's a great writer.
He is actually a very good writer. Very good.
Yeah. So that's the one thing I did take some time out to do that wasn't work.
Yeah.
And I've just been creating content, writing sales copy, writing blog posts and things like that, which is all so much quicker now with AI. God knows how ever used to get this shit done before AI.
I went broke.
Isn't that the
Well, it's a power tool. It means we can get stuff done quicker. So if you use it right.
Yeah. So can I ask, you are now on Medium. You've been using Medium for a while now.
Yeah.
How often do you post on it? Is it a once a week thing? Is it I'm just doing it when I
try and post twice a week, but I'm not great at being consistent. But I try and do at least 2 posts a week. I don't have set days.
Yeah.
So it might be sometimes I get through the week and I think shit, and I put 2 posts up. I think this week I've only done one.
Mm-hmm.
But the one I did this week has had so much good. It's funny, you do them and you keep putting them up, and a few people like them. The last one I wrote has been shared. There's this thing called lists, and if you like an article, you can add it to your list. Yeah. This one, the day it was published, went on a 4 people's list straight away. I've never had that happen. And got lots of comments as well. So it's a matter of hitting the right topic. The advantage with Medium is you've got 5 category tags you can pick. Mm-hmm. So I always chop and change them around. So because this article was about AI prompting, I focused on those tags and then added in business and money at the end.
Right. So it's, to me, that sounds an awful lot like YouTube but your written content instead of video content. So good YouTube, if you're doing it properly, you put out 2 videos a week, you tag it properly, you make sure that it's optimized as much as you can, and then hopefully you get views in. Doesn't always work, but it sounds like a sort of standard content creation thing.
Yeah.
Rather than some of the viral content creation, which you need to post once a day or 3 times a week at least. It's quite a lot.
Tom Clark says, is there a guide we can get for help with writing copy?
Where to start? There's loads of them.
Well, there's loads, but I'll tell you what, I'll recommend one because it's mine.
Is that yours? Yeah.
I got one that came out in the past week.
There you go.
This is really aimed at people that are new to writing sales copy or who think they can't do it, and that you got to learn loads. This is like just what you need to know to get started.
Mm-hmm.
I cover 4 headline formulas. I cover 2 sales formulas, because the truth is 90% of what I write, I use AIDA or PASS as my formula.
Yeah.
I do occasionally use other things, but they were things I learned much later. When I first started, all I knew was AIDA. That was all I knew. So every bit of copy I did was that.
And it's all you need to know as well. If you've decided that's the thing that's working for me, fine, stick with it. It's fine.
So this came out this week. We had a couple of, and these are legit reviews from real people that have really bought it, as opposed to made up nonsense. So I've had a couple of reviews in so far, but and at the moment you can pick it up for $20 instead of $30 or $40 because I'm putting the price of all of these up after the launch period. So the other 2 have already gone up in price because I did one on email marketing and one on something else. This is the 3rd in a series, but you don't need the others in the series. These are all standalone products, but that's just one option. But you've got millions, and honestly,
if you want to have AI do it, Copy Catalyzer is still available as well. That does sales pages with AI. If you're interested, and if Tom wants to hit me up, maybe because I've seen his products and what he's doing, maybe I'll give him a free copy of it.
Ooh. Oh, look, here comes a German.
Maybe.
It's in the war, and it'll be fine. So.
You have to be more precise now. Which war?
Oh, well, that's true. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, no, just don't mention any war, and we'll probably be all right.
Probably.
Yeah. Don't mention it.
Don't mention war and politics, and we'll be okay. Although I do appreciate that the economic state of the world is affecting everyone right now. But
it's been. So I got into these retro handheld things. I've got mine sat with me at the moment, tinkering with it because that's what you do. I realize when you get into this hobby, because you like games, you never play a game. You just play with the device, and then you go, "Oh, I've got this icon on my screen now," and then that's it. That's all you do.
On the earlier one, the one you bought first.
The Cube. Cube XS.
Great little device. Honestly, I've probably played an hour or 2 of gameplay on it. I have spent multiple hours trying different configurations, and
it's good though, isn't it?
And breaking it and having to restore it. And...
but Steve, isn't it the same difference between buying books and reading books? 2 totally.
No. Because it would be the same if you had to buy a book and then assemble all of the pages.
Okay.
So somebody had put a DIY, but the actual act of finding the right programs and installing the right programs and making sure if they work and getting all of the stuff, it's quite fun. I'm quite enjoying it. It's like the early days of computing when you had a game you wanted to run and you had to modify the bin file in order to make sure that the configuration your computer was loading up was actually working. You've got to do that with this, and it's a bit of an addiction, to be honest.
I do think that people like yourself who have grown up with computers that were sort of just graphic interfaces and whatever else have definitely got an advantage because we're less afraid of command line stuff. We're less afraid of things like that. And I do see a hesitancy with some people. I'm like, so just make a backup and you're fine.
I think, because a lot of the retro stuff, they're people who are in their late 30s, 40s, 50s period. And then you get this cadre of people who are in their teens and 20s who are just eating up the fact that this is something new and different that they've never had to do before with a computer because previously they pressed a button, it installed, and it worked. So they're enjoying it as well, which is quite interesting.
Well, if you remember the name Borland, you know that you're a dinosaur.
One of the first database programming languages I learnt was Clipper, and then later on it became Delphi.
Yeah.
The first thing before
Delphi,
we tried anything with a comment and the comment line was, "Do I have a backup?" Because you never knew if something went terribly wrong.
I did with some of my first earliest, because we had a computer, but we didn't have a lot of money, so we didn't have a lot of games for the computer. So my earliest memories of computers are, there's this magazine and it's got a free program in if I type it in myself, and typing it in and then having to figure out where they got the damn thing wrong. So that my earliest
or the one semicolon you'd missed.
Yes,
thought it was a colon because there was a bit of dirt on the page.
It took hours and hours and hours to type these things in, but there was some sort of misprint, or the ink hadn't run on properly, and exactly.
It never ran properly on the first time.
The trick with those was always not type it in on the day you got that issue of the magazine. Wait until next month and then look at the editorial and it'll say,
to see if anyone is saying,
this is all the bugs that were in the program. Now you can go, great, copy it in and fix it as I go. Now it works.
After a certain while, they started here to release proof numbers. When you use a special editor and you put that line in and you hit enter, then you got a proof number. And when that was the same as in the magazine, then it should work. But your focus and your concentration on typing in just data lines, you remember that old C64 data, whatever it is, and you have hit about 2,000 lines, there was a mistake, definitely.
When I got my first, they would call it an IDE now, but a code editor, that when you wrote a bit of code and it said, no, this is wrong, that was like a revelation because of the amount of times that it had never happened, before. It's a real time saver. It doesn't feel like it now. It feels like it's still a real pain in the ass to do, but it is good.
When in the early days, we were all doing PHP and HTML in Notepad.
Yeah.
No color coding.
I started off coding websites in Dreamweaver. And now I knew a couple of other people who were writing websites at the same time. Now, I had, at that time, a performing arts course, and I was writing. So I had apart from what I'd done for myself with a computer, I had no sort of computing background formally at that point. And I'd started doing this thing, and a couple of friends of mine were also doing web design. And they said, you're using WYSIWYG now, you'll be writing it by the end of the week. And they were right. Because you just couldn't quite do with that what you wanted to do, and it was good. Good fun.
I was kind of glad I'd learned some basic HTML first, so when I started using things like Dreamweaver and I couldn't quite get it how I wanted, I could quickly look at the code and go, "No, change that, that's better."
Yeah,
but I remember Dreamweaver being it's like mind blowing when that came out. What, you could actually just drop stuff in places and write, and it comes out roughly how you designed it.
It's still relatively good. It's just that no bugger uses it anymore.
No, I haven't used Dreamweaver.
And you've got to pay so much to access it. It's just not worth it. You could get Visual Studio for free. Yes. And yes, it's not WYSIWYG, but it's probably better for you. And now, you can get AI to code for you as well. So.
Well, I was using NicePage earlier because we were starting to put together a new sales page. So I went in to create the space for it.
Yeah.
And when I did, I gave it the name, and it went, "Do you want AI to come up with the design?"
Really?
Oh, then let's see. So now, obviously, I'll show you what it did, because all I've changed so far is at the top. I took the logo off and put the name in. So this is just what AI spat out based on me just telling it what the domain, saying what the product was called. It's called biotrafficsource.com. This is going to be. Now, this isn't what I'm going to end up with, but this is what AI made out of the gate with no further. And I just changed the logo to that at the top. So no other changes have been made here. And it's kind of taken a pretty good guess at what you should. Obviously, this is bullshit. I'll have to take this out.
Of course.
But, you know,
it's not too dissimilar from what you would put on a web page, is it?
Right. And so you've got this sort of good layout, and then you can go build off it.
Yeah.
So I was really impressed because that's the first time I've really played around with the AI inside NicePage. I was like, oh, go on, then let's just see what it comes up with. And I went, mate, that ain't bad. So, yeah, these things are coming on all the time.
Yeah.
And AI is getting built into everything now. So
yes, that is true. And it's becoming free in a lot of areas where I'm not sure that it'll be free forever. But right now, if you go to the right place, you can get free AI that is doing what the paid AI is doing as well. So there's a company called it's ByteDance. It's the people who made TikTok, made an AI coder called Trey. Now, whether you want to sign up to this thing because it's that company that did TikTok, it is Chinese, you do have to give them.
We don't mind having spyware on your computer.
Exactly. Well, Trey is free to use, and it has Sonnet in there, Sonnet 3.7 and 3.5.
Wow.
And it's now got Google 2.5 in there as well. For free.
The Gemini. Yeah.
The Gemini, the new, which is better than.
Is the new one Flash or is the new? I can't know what numbers.
Well, the new one is Flash now, but it's Flash 2.5, so it's like the mini version of Gemini.
Because I noticed that Abacus is redirecting to Gemini sometimes now. Earlier I was doing
that's interesting.
Sometimes I was doing some writing with it, and sometimes it went to Sonnet, sometimes it went to GPT 4.0, and then sometimes it used Gemini Flash. Depending on
that is very interesting. I haven't used Abacus for a while now because mostly I'm using Abacus to do product stuff or to do emails with, and I haven't done products and emails for a bit, so I haven't done a lot with it. But I'm interested to see that it's using that now. I was just wondering, it's got GPT 4.1 in there already, which is relatively new. That was this week, last week. 2.5 Pro and Flash for Gemini, 4 Mini High, 03 High, DeepSeek R3 R1 and version 3.1. It's pretty good. I mean, the stuff that you've got access to is quite something, really, when you consider where we were not all that long ago. Yeah,
it's crazy.
And Google now, they had a thing called Project IDX, which was their Visual Studio in the cloud, which ran on Gemini. They've now codified that now. It's called Google Firebase, and it's now a product. So, again, that's another relatively free, I think. I think you use it's rate limited, but you can still use it for free if you want to start coding using AI. So there's a load of options out there right now. It's just that I still don't think you could kind of show it to somebody and go, okay, you now go and make stuff yourself, because there's too many moving parts that you need to kind of understand. I think what you did with Valtown was perfect for people, because
it was just finding that I appreciate who Valtown was for, and I was like, but with a little shift, we can get people that wasn't designed for using it and getting results. And and some of the people that picked that training up have come back to me since going, I've really got into this. I'm now using the databases and this. And I didn't know anything about databases before this.
It's amazing. Once you start doing it, it's amazing how you go, well, now I can do that. Maybe I can push myself into doing the database bit, or maybe I can put myself into learning about DNS or something like that, or learning about APIs. It's amazing how quickly that happens once you start doing the basics.
Hello, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
Hello. How are you all?
We are fine. How are you?
Not fine.
Busy.
It's been a week.
It's been a week.
It's been a week.
It's been a hell of a week.
Yeah.
I feel like I just don't seem to stop at the minute. And I've just finished a call and I was sat downstairs and I saw it was 4 o'clock for me. I saw it was 4 o'clock and I thought, oh, you know, when you're about 12 and you're like, oh, 4 more minutes, Mum. I just needed 5 minutes before I came in and started talking to someone again, you know?
Yeah, totally get that.
So there we go. That's why I was late anyway, but hope you're all doing well and had a good week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It has been a good week. We're just saying, I mean, I've been a content producing monster this week, but
well, I've been the complete opposite. I've had 131 things I've wanted to produce this week and done none of it because I've just been stuck on calls all week.
I was saying the same thing. I started wanting to do stuff and then failed at the first hurdle. You know, life happened and things. And I just middle of the week went, just sod it. I'm just going to take the week off. It's Easter this weekend. Treat it like a Easter break and then get back to it.
Yeah, it
actually
is.
meant I'm doing more spring cleaning.
It definitely is Easter. So I've had, so obviously today, like we've noticed like a really low, like a really bad no-show rate with callers today. Especially on B2B stuff. Because they put calls thinking they're in the office.
And they're not.
They're not. So most of my day-to-day has been getting on Zoom, waiting 15 minutes, and then getting off Zoom because no one's turned up. You know, that's been my day really. But yeah. And I imagine Monday will be the same.
You get Easter holidays, and it throws everyone. I mean, I suspect for most people, their sales are probably down this week with school holidays. We always notice that when you get Easter holidays and things, because you know people are focused on their kids and taking time out, doing other stuff, but.
And it's always the holidays that are changing dates, right? Easter changes. Everyone knows Christmas. They don't book in for December 25th. They know it's Christmas Day, right? Mm-hmm. You know, even people that don't celebrate Christmas, they still know that in a lot of the English-speaking world, Christmas is a big deal, right? So they don't book. Whereas Easter, I mean, I didn't even know it was Easter, really.
I didn't. Do you know, it wasn't until somebody yesterday, I think, went, oh, it's Good Friday this week. I was like, oh, is it?
Yeah.
What's good about it? I don't know.
Well, I made 46 sales this week on Booking a Day without having to do anything.
That's still popping up for you, isn't it?
That's good.
Which is made. It's 113 sales I've done this month, which is about $760. That is now passive income, which brilliant. Yep. And all that's happened is that Amy Harrop put it in a funnel where she's getting traffic to it and people are buying it still. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm very happy with that. Yeah.
That's the goal. Do you know what? I think that's something that we all need to probably spend more time looking at. Having more things like that plugged in that are good quality products that are not. I mean, I guess yours is going to be potentially time limited just because of the AI and the way things are changing.
Well, to some extent, yes, but actually the thing about the AI is that it is constantly getting better. So any prompt that I write isn't going to get worse results from a better AI. Right. So in theory, it's going to get because what I've done is I've put together. I've not just told AI go and write a book like a lot of people's prompts end up being go and write a book. What I've done is I've put together the process that you would do to write a book and then put that into prompts, which the AI then follows. So because the AI is following it anyway, in theory, it should be a fairly evergreen thing.
I think we'll end up not that long in the future, and it will be like, you remember when they started doing what you see is what you get type of set pages, and then we moved to polls and things like that. And for people that didn't really know how to use it, there was a wizard. Do you remember the wizard?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I can see us getting to that point where people go, okay, what do you want to create? I want to create a book. And what do you want to set? And this. And they just click, 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 click. And it creates the prompts itself with what it should be and delivers an output. I think
you already have that. There are already tools that do exactly that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean the main actual, like ChatGPT. So that there's there's lots of different tools that connect, but they're actually creating stuff, like they've got an interface to talk to the AI. But the AI themselves actually do it like that. It's a game changer, isn't it?
Again, it is kind of happening because some of the agentic stuff that's happening right now is literally. In fact, if you go into in depth into the coding stuff that's happening and the MCP servers, what's happening is that you are instructing an AI to instruct an AI about how to build something, and then when the AI that is being instructed has built something, the other AI goes and checks it, which is phenomenal. I mean, that's the sort of thing that you dream about for years and years and years and think, well, it'll never happen. Well, it's here. It's available right now.
Well, most of the little software projects I've knocked up with Valtown, what they're doing is you put something in, and then behind the scenes, it's taking what you put in, generating a prompt using one engine, feeding that prompt into another one and getting the result, and then feeding it into another one and saying improve this, and then spitting the result out.
Yeah,
that's not, it's 2 or 3 API calls, but the user only has to type in one line, and then it's doing all this boring grunt work where normally they'd be having to specify. And those things do really well because people like that. Oh, I only have to type in the name of my product and push a button.
Yeah, but even that they want to refund because it's too difficult.
Oh yeah, it's too much copy and pasting.
When I was writing the sadly now defunct email thing using AI, I had what I found a JavaScript library that lets you take a page and it will condense the page, and that's already happening in JavaScript. And from that, I was able to then have a few enough characters to be able to make a call to AI that then said, and now go and write an email about it. And this is the sort of email that you want. And that's how a lot of things already work, but it's how we're going is that kind of sort of processed workflow. So a tool in future isn't really going to be smartly coded to do the thing that you want. It's going to have a front end and it's going to rely on AI to do the rest of it.
I've been trying at the minute. I'm trying to again find as much stuff as possible I can get other people to do. It doesn't cost me a whole lot of money, and we trying to get AI to do it as well, right? So at the minute I've got a guy who I'm trying to train to write emails like I write them, right? I've just been struggling recently to get some like emails and stuff out. So what I'm trying to do is I'm going, okay, write this email. Then I'm throwing it into ChatGPT and saying, make this basically better. And then I'm looking at it and going, okay, let me just change some things so it's in more of my style, and then loading that back until it starts learning. And then as we're going through this process, we're getting closer and closer. So my idea is he can write it, put it in our kind of ChatGPT, and then it'll spit out something which will be as good as I would. I mean, probably better than
Have you tried it in Claude?
I have not.
Because just writing in general terms in Claude has always been better than ChatGPT. In Sonnet, 5 onwards.
I have access. I mean, I'll give it a go.
Oh, I mean, you can use it for free, so it's good. But Sonnet, it's a little bit better with turns of phrase. It's a little bit better with kind of the humanization of stuff. If you had a ChatGPT output and you wanted to humanize it, my first reaction would be put it through Sonnet and it'll do it for you.
It is funny the stuff that I'm constantly having to edit out, and it's like just bizarre ways of explaining things that are like, I would say this, and it goes around all the bloody houses before we get to the point. And I'm like, can you make this shorter? And it goes, and I was like, no, we can still do better. We can get there so much quicker.
The other thing it does is tautology. So if you don't know, tautology is repeating the same thing more than once. Tautology is repeating the same thing more than once.
I see what
you or saying it the same thing in a different way, but it's still basically saying the same thing. And ChatGPT will do that. I think initially when they were sort of starting this thing up, and people were going, "But I want 1,000-word article." Then it got used to the fact that but you just want more words. You don't necessarily want more better words. You just want more
context.
So it just repeated the same stuff, and then what you end up with is a sentence that is too long, and it's a run-on sentence, and it says the first thing first, and then the second thing it says is the same as the first thing, and it just to a human doesn't scan. So again, it's worth putting it through even ChatGPT and going, where in this piece of writing is there tautology that can be removed? And it knows that. It understands that bit. So having an initial post is fine, but getting it to then edit it makes better writing in the end, because you can then, once it's done the work of actually creating the thing in the first place, you can get something that is better out of it by then going, and these are the restrictions that we then want you to place on it. But that first draft, getting it to get that out of the way, once that's done, it pretty much nails it, I think.
Yeah, it was been a kind of a hit. I mean, it's funny because I know that sometimes there's much better sort of options out there, but I often just find ChatGPT is kind of good enough of most things that I want. It's just one place to be, right?
If you settled on any one LLM,
if I could only use one and nothing else.
Well, no. If you could only use one and nothing else, it doesn't matter which one you use. Much like Mac or PC, much like that kind of thing.
Well, we could have that conversation if you want.
Well, look, Mac or PC, Android or iPhone. The reality is, whatever you buy is fine, and you'll use it, and it'll be fine. And it's the same with LLMs as well.
You know what? I get your point, and I agree. However, when I was totally broke, and I remember I've been, since I was probably for, let's say, 12 or 15 years, I've been a Mac guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I had a MacBook, and it was MacBook. Remember when it was just called MacBook? It wasn't an Air, it wasn't a Pro, it was just called MacBook. It was a very small time that these came out, right? And I think it was like an 11-inch screen or something. It's about the same size as an iPad is now, right? And I had this. Anyway, the battery died on it, and so I had to be plugged in all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And what would happen would be, is where I was living at the time, this was when I was sort of first coming to Mexico, there was often times where it was kind of the electricity would just pulse ever so slightly. And sometimes it would just cut out, and I'd have to restart. It'd be fine again. And it happened maybe once every 2 or 3 days, but it was annoying as hell, right? Because you'd lose everything that was open, right? So anyway, but at the time I was just getting started in life, and I was absolutely broke. And I sort of looked at the price of Mac stuff, and I went, I can't afford it. So I'll go and buy a Windows laptop. I bought a Lenovo. Don't ask me what it was, but it was cheap. It was about $200, probably, something like that. And I went with it for about 3 weeks. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to bloody find the money to buy a Mac, because I've just felt so unproductive. I'm like, how do people do this? It kept freezing. Stuff wouldn't load properly. And I was like, I can't. So, right, what do I need to do to get I don't know what it was, $1,000 or whatever for a MacBook Air or whatever? What do I need to do to get back into the ecosystem? So yeah, I think people just get used to it as well.
That's an ecosystem thing rather than a because I've been using both for ages. And now I don't have a MacBook at the moment because I don't need a laptop, but my preferred laptop would be a Mac of some description. Whereas my preferred desktop, which I play games on, is a PC because it's easier to get the stuff to run on that. Although again, now I've got this thing, things are changing a little bit, and it might be the sort of thing that if I can get that and it's running everything I want to play, I might go, maybe I'll get a Mac next time. But still, I wouldn't be able to stream on Monday nights and things like that if I did that, because I wouldn't be able to play the games that we play on Monday nights. So
I don't think I own any Windows devices anymore. I've got this is my I got my Mac that I work on all day, and I've got a laptop which is a cheapy laptop with a Linux build running on it.
Well, you wouldn't have one if you didn't have to. I think that's the thing. And yeah, there's an argument for having a PC and running a PC with the software that's available, just because there's so much more software available that people can access. But it doesn't mean that there isn't the right tool available for you on the Mac, because there will be. It'll just be a little bit more arcane. There'll be a little less information out there about it, or it'll be something that Mac users adore. I originally bought a Mac because I wanted to use Logic, and it was brilliant. It was the best audio thing I'd ever used at the time.
I always see sort of like Mac is like more of a professional tool, and Windows is kind of more of like an education type tool.
Well, no, I don't think that's true. I think that's the perception, but I just don't think it's true because most people in business still use Windows.
Big corporations, for sure. Big corporations.
But a lot of little people do as well because they can't afford the Mac ecosystem. A lot of small businesses won't touch Mac because it's that much.
Although Mac's getting cheaper now, isn't it?
It is getting cheaper.
And actually, minis they're sub $500-600
nowadays.
Yeah, we just got one for Richie a couple of weeks ago. I think it was $499 or $599, and it's a Mac.
Nowadays, it's easier to get the refurbed stuff or the second-hand stuff, and it works. The MacBook, the last MacBook that I got, which I think was a 13, so it's a long time ago now, it doesn't work anymore because it is just too slow. Now, if it was a PC laptop, I would have stripped it out and replaced the drive with an SSD and all of that sort of stuff.
That's the other thing.
You can't do that with a Mac.
You're locked in.
Yeah.
Specifically now with their new chips, right? So these M chips, you cannot. I mean, it used to be that you could buy extra memory, or whatever, but you used to have to take it to Mac because they had to take it apart. You have to take it to Apple, sorry. They had to take it apart. I mean, you could have someone in the market do it, but then you'd void your warranty. It was a whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Whereas now with the new chips, it's not even possible. It's soldered in.
It's not. No. And this is when the
16 gig you have.
This is when the vast expense comes in. You know, I've paid for the computer I'm sat on right now about £4,500 at the time. Half of that was the cost of the graphics card inside it because of how bloody expensive they've been over the last few years. But that was the cost of this PC. If I spec'd out a Mac to do the same job at the same time, it would have cost nearly 30 grand.
Right, but today, how cheaply could you get a Mac to do that? I mean, what are you doing? Like, there's the Mac Mini will do 8K video editing now.
Yes, that's true.
And that starts at like £600. So
you're right, yeah. But
now,
then again,
as well as you, will you be able to get one times playback? Maybe not. Maybe you need to
wouldn't
a $1,000 machine. But
it wouldn't do any of the AI stuff that I'm doing because all of the AI stuff that I'm doing is basically backed up by NVIDIA, which is again another sort of issue with it. But again, it's 6 of one and half a dozen of another. It really doesn't matter. Whatever you've got is good. Is the thing that you should be using. Or if you're looking for something new and you're happy with where you are, you just want something that's a bit better and a bit faster, then go with the same thing that you've got, just the newest version of it, you know?
Yeah, I've always been quite a Mac. And also for me, like I'm just in the ecosystem, right? Like I've got iPhone, AirPods, I'm talking to on a Mac, you know, my wife's on an iPhone, my son. I mean, you know, we're just the whole family. You know, I've got whatever the speaker things are called, and we've got them all over the house. So we're just in that ecosystem. And so if you move out of that, it then becomes very painful because we've got things like iCloud, right? There's Apple Music. I mean, Apple TV is shocking. I'm not a fan of that at all. I never.
Well, the actual TV or the service.
No, the actual service, TV Plus or whatever it's called.
Right.
I never find anything I want to watch. And to be fair, I haven't looked for a few months, but
it's actually there's stuff on there that is incredibly good, but it doesn't get released very often. It's not like Netflix where you can guarantee there's going to be something out every week. But when you do find stuff, Slow Horses is incredible.
You've also got to remember we've got different regions. And
that's true.
The people who are using Apple products as a percentage will be a hell of a lot less than the UK.
Yeah,
because it's not like in the market here. I think in like UK and US, I'm not sure if it's 50-50 or even slightly in favor of iPhone splits. But I think
iPhone is huge in the UK US. But I think
it's more like 80%
I think Android by default is just because it's the basic running system of all the cheap phones, and there's a lot of people who are on cheap phones. Let me just have a look. iOS. Let's see what we've got. Android is 51% and Apple is 48.5%.
What's the rest?
Windows.
Is that still going? Is it?
Yeah, at the moment. But it's such a tiny percentage. Look, you know.
Yeah. I don't think they're on new phones, are they? Are they still new phones?
No, I don't. I think there'll be people who are on old phones. I know some people who are still using Windows phones, but
really?
They just don't want to give them up, you know. But
good lord.
But again, look, yeah. Other than this, everything I've got is Apple, apart from the handheld devices, which one of them is Linux and one of them is Android. So yeah, Apple is brilliant, and I wouldn't move away from what I've already got.
Okay, so here's the difference here. In Mexico, Android has a significant larger share. You get to the point, doesn't it? Android has 88.59% of the market and iOS 11.3%.
Yeah.
So
it does kind of make sense, though, doesn't it?
Because it's expensive. I mean, there's your first issue. The second issue is we don't have any Apple stores.
One of the things that we've got in the UK, of course, is the second-hand market, which if you don't have a big uptake in a country anyway, you won't get, or you won't get as many of. So you can go down any high street.
Really well.
Yeah. You can go down any high street and you can pick up a phone like this one, which is the 10X Max, which I just haven't bothered upgrading because...
That was one of my favorites. But
it's a really good phone. It's a brilliant phone. But I haven't bothered upgrading it because it still works. It still does everything that I want it to do.
This one that I've got, this is a 15 Pro Max. And I refused. Sorry, no, it's not. It's a 15 Pro. I went back from the Max because it got to a point, and I've got big hands, but I always want it to be a one-handed job. And I found with my previous Pro Max, it was just a little bit. There was a small section that my thumb just didn't easily get to. And I was like, oh, no, I'd just go to Pro. So this is a 15 Pro. But I just bought my wife. She needed to upgrade her phone. I usually buy one every year, but we skip a year. So I get one every 2 years and her, right?
Okay.
That's usually. And this year was the first year that I bought her a 16 rather than a 16 Pro. Because when I looked at the two of them, there was very, very little difference. But there was quite a big price difference.
Yeah.
And so
for ages, I've been looking at the iPad Pro because it does a lot of stuff. And, if you think about mobile computing, what I used to do when the iPad first came out is I'd take the iPad with me, jump in the car, drive down to the Black Mountains or the Eland Valley in Wales. It's a beautiful place. You can just stop and just look at the world. And I'd sit there typing. I'd sit there actually writing, which was kind of my job. I was writing at the time. And it was brilliant. But it was a little bit flawed because it was still an iPad and you still had all those issues with it being an iPad.
One issue that they have never fixed, and I don't think they will because I think they don't want it to become a competitor with the computer. And that is Mac OS and iPad OS. Yeah. Because I've thought about this. I thought about not having a laptop, having an iPad Pro. And then I remember, and it's funny, do you know what made me stop? Convertri. You know how you can only use Convertri? In Google Chrome? Well, Google Chrome, it doesn't work like that on an iPad.
On an iPad,
Just a skin, right?
Yeah.
And so you wouldn't be able to do things like that. Now, I'm picking on Convertri. There's other programs as well that have the same issues. But that's
you're right.
flawed point.
And you can't connect a mouse to an iPad. Whereas you can put a keyboard on it, but you can't put a mouse. So you still got to do the touchscreen thing. So
I didn't know that. I thought you could get a...
well... I don't know if you can now. You certainly couldn't.
Still in the ecosystem.
Oh, yeah. I've got two of those buggers because they put the charging port on the fucking bottom.
Oh, yeah, that is dumb. That is dumb.
Yeah.
There's nothing more funny when, if my wife walks in and she goes, "What are you doing?" I'm just waiting for my mouse to charge.
Wow.
I got fed up with it, so I bought a second one. So I can leave one on charge and be using one.
This has got a battery in it.
Logitech, is it?
Yeah.
Logitech trackballs. I love them. I think they're brilliant. But I did get another one from because I wanted a cheap one from a completely different company. It's actually really good and virtually the same. So I might shift to the other company if it works.
I got a friend of mine telling me to buy an MX. Is it called an MX Master? Is it called?
It rings a bell. Is that a
masturbation device?
Maybe in your world, but no, I think it's called the MX Master or something like that.
MX Master 3 it's basically a gaming.
This is supposed to be the best mouse or one of the best mice you can get hold of, but it's subjective to everybody, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I mean, I got this at Christmas. This is the 915G keyboard, mechanical keyboard. Lovely thing. I love it. I love typing on it. It feels really good to type on. And it cost nearly 200 quid. You know, it was an expensive piece of kit. But I expect this to last for quite a while because it's Logitech and because it's made of metal. You know. But I also got the other day when I was setting up the Android device, I got another one, which I've got here somewhere.
This is like Blue Peter, isn't it? Here's the one I made earlier.
Here's one I bought, which is a smaller keyboard, obviously, but it's still mechanical and it still feels really nice. And I got it on Amazon and it was £30.
Yep.
With a voucher, but it was 30 quid.
Guess where my keyboard? Guess who's made my keyboard?
Apple.
Wrong. Actually,
really?
Wrong.
Really?
It's the one thing that I will not buy of Apple on the keyboards because I think the price is just too much. It's just stupid.
It is a bit too much. It's the Logitech one, right?
Who's that? I tell you what, I bought this, which is where you can't see it. This is a cheap Omicron Bluetooth keyboard.
Yeah.
But it works brilliantly with the Mac. They're 30 quid because I burn through keyboards. I'm so harsh on them. I spill on them. I drop cigarette ash on them. I'm terrible. So I go for a keyboard every 6 to 12 months. So I was like, I'm not paying Apple prices for keyboards. And I found...
No, of course not.
Found this. And I tell you what, when I finally knacker this, I'll buy another one. It's brilliant. Brilliant keyboard.
Yeah.
The only annoying thing is it goes into sleep mode and you can't turn that off. So sometimes you come back and you type, no, I've got to wait for the thing to reconnect. And the blue light sits on and it goes off and then you can type. But
I would heartily recommend one of these. And typing on a mechanical keyboard is so much. And I think that's probably the writer in me coming out, that I always wanted to have a typewriter. This is the next best thing. It feels more that you're connected with the device. And it just makes a hell of a lot more sense than typing on what is essentially a button that doesn't quite feel like you're connected. But with these, you feel like you're connected to it.
So this in George Wickens news.
Oh dear God!
It blew up on Facebook this week. People talking about it,
didn't it?
Again.
Yeah.
It turns out, I knew he'd taken a few people, but a lot of them are now saying on this thread, "Oh yeah, he had me." Michael Cheney said Wickens owed him 10K.
Yeah, and I can verify that is true.
Yeah. Here's some others: Omar Martin, Steve Pashley. And then there's several other names on the list that have.
I think it was Rob Rees, wasn't it, that posted the first?
Rob Rees posted quite a long post about it initially.
Yeah, but Rob was being all nice, like, I hope he's okay and he's not suffering with a mental health. And I'm going, like,
he did say he didn't think I hope George Wickens dies of bollock cancer, quite frankly. But hey, let's find out.
Has George Wickens given David Kirby his money back yet?
No, of course
no.
Now what?
Has George Wickens given David Kirby his money back yet?
And no, I'm not going to re-record the jingle with the other names of people that he owes money to, because
that'll be the full hour show.
It would, wouldn't it? Has he given Michael Cheney? Has he given David Kirby? Has he given...
the other guy I've heard this week's name being bashed again, and it's someone we haven't heard from for a little while. Gianni Gaffer, whatever he's called.
Oh yeah, I've not heard of him for a while.
Yeah, well, he's back to his usual bag of tricks. Someone had said again, "Oh, has anyone dealt with this guy?" And I just put, "Do you know what? Just Control S in this group, Control F or whatever. Like, just go and search. You will find. I see him and George Wickens. I must see 1 or 2 posts a month about somebody being ripped off by them.
Yeah,
and yet people are still giving them money.
Yeah,
they're still alive and well. And my favourite bit on that one with George Wickens though was that Cheney posted the sort of, I don't know what it was, the Mirror or the Sun or something, the clippings of him, you know, him and his brother and his dad or whatever going to jail.
Yeah.
Talking of jail, have we heard anything of the other one? Is he out now?
Who? Temple?
Oh, Redhead.
No idea.
I don't know, because you know it's funny, on my Facebook feed the other day it went 7 years ago or whatever the fuck it was. You were at a Rob Temple hypnotist show in Yeovil, and I was. It was shit.
Did you go and check your bank statements from that month and just make sure everything was in order? You hadn't been hypnotized to hand over your cash.
But no, I mean, I'm assuming he's out by now. I mean, if he got out in one piece, he's probably got a very large, wide arsehole now. But because, I mean, let's face it, he was going to be a favourite, wasn't he?
Oh, he was going to be thrown around like a dog's chew toy.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I guess I could say that. This is not bad. I said the one guarantee is that he's going to be looking forward to is he's going to be getting a cock in his mouth and a cock in his arse, and the best he can hope for is that it's not the same cock. So there we go. Anyway,
Andy, can you switch off the stream, please?
We will be going off live in a few minutes. So,
Mr. Mellor.
Yes,
I've shared my latest keyboard if Andy's willing to share it. And it doesn't work with a Mac, unfortunately.
I don't know what it is you've shared.
It's in.
Oh, you showing your screen?
I'm presenting thing.
No.
Oh yeah, there it is.
There we go.
Nice keyboard.
Nice. Yeah.
I like.
And it's amazing how good the clunky keys are on it. You know.
You can get something that is actually fairly similar to that. It's the Logitech Pop Keys thing. They feel very much like that for their mechanical version. And I've seen people turn typewriters into keyboards and things before.
That's my mouse. Use a Microsoft wired mouse.
How old is that?
1998 edition.
Yeah.
Very old, very
yes,
reliable.
too. He's got a USB adapter plugged on it.
So Ellie, you're still in the stage where you have to overcook an egg once in a week just to peel it out and replace the ball in the mouse.
No. The mouse is working perfectly.
Anyway, if you're watching on YouTube, you're not going to be for much longer. But have a great Easter, and we'll see you next week.
Enjoy your Easter, you little bunnies.